Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday. Welcome to the office hours here on the ViaMonstra Academy. My name is Johan, and once again, I have Mr. Andrew joining me for this hour of questions. Anything related to MDT, Intune, ConfigMgr, pretty much anything Microsoft infrastructure. Want to say hi, Andrew?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on again, Johan.
Of course, sir. And with that being said, let the questions begin. All right. As usual, we monitor questions on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. We skipped out the Zoom meetings we used to have in the past because that just added another complexity level, and I can only multitask with so many things. So we're keeping it simple here. For those of you who played around with Zoom and virtual audio cables, you know exactly what I'm talking about when using multiple platforms and OBS and whatnot. This is an easier setup for sure. So while we're waiting for the first questions to come in here, there have been some interesting, I would say movement, but information shared in the MEM community today. I've been keeping an eye on Twitter. And for example, our good friend, Mr. Benjamin, SQL Guru at Microsoft, he posted a shiny SQL query. Let me get rid of this one. I have a little bit too many windows opened. And it would probably also help if I actually share the screen. What do you say, Andrew?
I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah, let's do that. Here's the screen. Here is us. Let's see.
There
Beautiful. Haha, nice. There we go. Only took me 3 attempts. I'm getting there.
Looks good.
Yes. So Benjamin posted a SQL query to basically pull out AD discovery information from SQL, which is not too easily found by default, but he knows SQL inside out. So this one is good. I will absolutely post a link to this one in the link collection that we share. And for those of you asking where that link collection gets published, it gets published right here on the Academy site. So pretty much where you found the information about the office hours, this is where we have it. We have been also somewhat good at also publish them on the YouTube channel, but that usually happens a little bit later. If you want it first, you have to go here and get them. But that was some good information showing up this morning. And to answer the question on YouTube there, is there a link for Zoom? Nope. We are skipping Zoom for now and just focus on using these channels, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook for questions. They turn out to be a little bit easier that way. Lee on LinkedIn had a question regarding what's the best strategy for shifting from ConfigMgr Patch Management over to Microsoft Auto Patch? I haven't done any projects around the new or fairly new Auto Patch system. So I don't know, but I know you, Andrew, your organization, you went through switching from ConfigMgr patching over to Intune patching, at least for some of your machines.
Yep. Basically did that fairly easily through co-management, moving the Windows Update workload in co-management. You run into some issues with that, some registry key problems, potentially corrupt group policies, things like that. I haven't had the opportunity to do anything with auto patch to speak of just yet.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. Any other questions there? believe auto-patching is still in preview unless it was released without me noting. I've seen a 2 blog posts explaining how it works, but have not done anything in it myself with it yet.
Yeah, definitely on the list of things to try in the lab here soon.
Yeah. All right. So while we're waiting for more questions to come in, I would like to point out that my good friend Andreas released a tool yesterday, or maybe this morning, for those of you playing around with iPXE and want to PXE boot without having to worry about IP helpers and whatnot. They 2.0 released a USB creation tool. So this is basically like a modern version of. Do you remember the old 3Com booting this you used back with the RIS server back in the days? Or was that before your time, Andrew?
A little before my time.
Yeah, it's about 25 years ago. So
Ghost was about my first go with this.
yeah. So anyhow, so this is a nice little tool that you can try out. In addition to that, Johan Popovich, let me get that link first. I've been notorious for forgetting to save them during the presentation, so I had to go back and search for them again. But this time I figured I would actually remember to do it. It'll save me some time.
There you go.
Yeah. The other one was this one here. It's a PowerShell cleanup script for inactive devices. And version 3 of this tool has been around for a while. It supports email, reporting, and some other features. But it's a good little script to have in your sort of toolbox for cleanup. So I will put that in the link as well. And I will also go ahead and save it. Here we go. Let's see. Still not any more questions, but
just to take a step back for a moment, I was just doing some Googling. It looks like AutoPatch did go GA last Monday.
Winning. All right. Good job, sir. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that. If you can find a link, I'll be happy to share it.
Yeah. Let's see. See if I can find an official Microsoft one.
Yeah. In the meantime, one of the program managers released this information this morning that they're starting into building X-ray type functionality, or at least it's on the planning stage for Azure AD. So the idea is that you do something in the console and you will see the PowerShell equivalent of what you were doing in the console. Pretty much like the old AD tools that was released back probably a decade ago. So if you haven't seen this one, I recommend filling out that survey to help them sort of shape this feature. That would be pretty cool. And if you haven't played around with this one, I highly recommend taking a look at that one because it's quite useful when trying to figure out what on earth is going on in the backend when you do something in the MEM portal.
Yeah, this looks really cool, and hopefully it looks like it will lower the barrier to entry when you want to start automating things with Graph. Looks like it'll make things much easier.
Yeah, so I'll put this as a heading for the link and save that one. Let's see what else? Well, we had this little tweet that came this morning. If you're using the admin center for client actions, you better patch because that certificate is about to change. And if you don't patch, you may run into troubles doing that one. So it's patch time. Luckily, it's easy to patch. Just right-click and install on the update in the ConfigMgr console, and you're done. So it's not terribly complicated. It's usually more complicated to get the change request in place in time to do the change than to do the actual upgrade,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is weird. But sometimes the paperwork is more than the actual work of things. Let's see what else was going on. Oh yeah, we had the this one here that I stumbled across. Preview of a new update management center. Haven't played around with it, just stumbled across it. Was published 2 days ago, apparently, but I didn't see it until this morning. But it's, yeah, it looks pretty good. So if you are interested in playing around with Azure for updates, I'm assuming that would be a thing to do. All right, let's see. There is a question coming in on LinkedIn. Can you show me a policy to apply on Windows 10 devices on build 19044? I don't quite follow the question. Or maybe it's apply only to a specific version of Windows. That must be it. All right, that I can show. So for those of you that are still using traditional, or as Microsoft call it, legacy group policies, let me just adjust the focus here a little bit on the remote desktop window. Here we go. So in group policy management, when you work with your different group policy objects, whatever they might be, say that you want to have a specific delivery optimization policy applied to only a certain version of Windows, you can still use filtering to do that for group policies. So in this lab environment, I only have a simple one for Windows 10 and Windows 7. But if you look at this WMI filter, it's fairly straightforward. I'm making sure to only apply it to a version like something and product type ones. I'm not applying this to servers because when the server, no, I don't want to do that right now. Thank you. Dang it. Here. So I don't want this policy to apply to servers. So that's why I also add in product type 1, because server 2016, 2019, and 2022, they also have 10 in their versioning numbers. So you can, of course, make this this one here more specific and target just a specific version if you want something to apply to a specific version. In the question, it was basically like a minor version instead of a major version, but this is what you can do. So basically, whatever this one comes back with, and you can run and test that through PowerShell. You can just ask for the class. If I will go to one of my Windows 10 clients and open up a bit of PowerShell, so either get WMI object or get sim instance, whatever you prefer, and then just the class name. Operating system, and it will tell you what version to look for. So that would be helpful. Okay, there was a follow-up comment there in LinkedIn for Intune policies. Okay. So if you want to use like configuration profiles and whatnot that you have in the mem portal, that would be a filter. See what filter. I don't have in top of my head what filters are available, but we can take a look. I can look at some of my. Let's see what I have deployed here. I did not mean to do that one, but I can go to this one. Once again, I will use delivery as a good one. And you can see if I have assigned any filters to this one. Don't think I have. It said none, and but let's imagine that I will do a filter. Okay, I don't have any for the versions in this tenant. Let me go ahead and fix those. Call it Windows version and see what's available. That's Windows 10 later. Well, let's see what we can come up with that makes sense. I did not mean to do that, but
looks like the OS version. Yep, property we'll
equals or contains, I guess, and then in this case I will probably do a contain or start with 10.9. See what the question was about. 19.044, and that should do it. The beautiful thing about these filter rules is that you can preview them and see if you have any devices that actually matches that filter. And it turned out that I actually did have a bunch of devices that is matching that specifically. And if you want to go down to like the latest version here, you can do that as well. So if you want to check for a, I don't know, 1706 patched, yeah. It took forever before I learned to not call it advertisements, because it was advertisements back in the days also. All right, sorted out. Beautiful. Any other questions? Do you have any questions, Andrew?
No, but I'm sure I can think of something.
I bet.
Just a comment, this filters feature has been so awesome the last couple of years it's been out now, and I'm just looking forward to that being more, having them add more and more onto that. Hopefully. It's so much, as we kind of discuss in our Intune course especially, it's so much faster than dealing with dynamic Azure AD groups and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And a gentleman to follow in this area is one of the speakers that we have joining us for the user group. Last time we had one, but Mike Danoski. Make sure to follow him, because he is working on these features, primarily the settings catalog, but also all the other related areas around this. So he's someone to follow on Twitter. He is posting a lot of information regarding these changes. Apparently some planes as well. But yeah. No, I don't want to log in right now. Thank you. Yeah. I'll put that link in the chat for you guys. And chat in the link collection. I'm so used to having the Zoom chat, so
yeah.
All right. Okay, beautiful. Any other questions?
I'm going to see if I can dig up the tweet. I saw something earlier that Mac OS is going to have Azure AD single sign-on for the entire system coming up here soon.
I remember seeing that one. That was also today at some point.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that.
That's good stuff, for sure. But I even retweeted that this morning.
Maybe that's where I saw it.
It could happen.
I just dropped a link in the chat.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. I got it. Oh, there is the auto patch link also. Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the post we mentioned earlier regarding auto patch. And there is a video, of course, you can view. So I'll put that link in the selection. And just a second.
Compared to some of the other things that we've seen being previewed for quite a while recently, Autopatch went GA very quickly.
Well, apparently they got it right the first time. So
It's got to happen sometimes.
yeah. All right, so here was that post, the other one. Single sign-on for Mac, for those of you that are managing those devices. And some changes. I think they needed some update on the Intune side of things that was slated for either August or September, but at least it's coming at some point. That's good. I don't see any more questions. Oh, there we go. There's another question coming in on LinkedIn. Does Microsoft have a config manager community like what they have for Azure? Well, there are the new replacement for user voice, and you also have in the product itself. See if I go to one of my machines with the console. You do have the community hub here as well, where you can submit script examples, CM pivot examples, a lot of other stuff in the config manager area. So if you haven't checked that one out, I highly recommend doing so. Forgot what the user voice replacement was. I should know, but memory did not serve me well. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Was a bit bummed, I must say, when user voice went away. Of course, it was so helpful. Replacement for user voice. Don't see it. That's probably why I... No, I only find for SQL and Azure. But what you can do always is to simply send a smiley from the console from the various features. And those are actually read by the product team. And so that could be helpful. Again. So the answer is apparently no, unless someone have seen something that I didn't find in my quick search here. All right, any other questions? I can share you what I lost my weekend to.
Yeah?
A bit of PowerShell.
Hey.
I spent so many hours on this, it was stupid. But in one of my lab environments, and only when PXE booting, every time I booted the boot image, the PowerShell Listen Commandment became corrupted or wouldn't start.
That's strange.
Yeah, and it was only in one of the labs. And I had the same version of the other labs also. And when taking the same boot image and putting in an ISO, it worked. So it was nothing wrong with the WIM file, it's just something else. But the fix was fairly easy. Delete it and add it back in. Same file.
Interesting.
And it was happy. I cannot explain it. I hope someone smarter than me can at some point, but I was not able to figure out. And I spent hours and hours with Procmon running in WinP, trying to find differences in how it was called and read and whatnot. But eventually I gave up and just resorted to, all right, fine. This solves the problem. It adds about 0.5 seconds to my deployment. I don't care. It worked.
Yeah, I'm sure it added to the frustration with it only doing this in the one lab.
Yeah. Out of 4, it's like, okay, why?
Huh.
Why even? So, yeah. One of those weekends.
Yeah, that's a strange one.
What else has been going on lately? Yeah, for those of you still using MDT Lite Touch, added in a little post on how to add fallback to it. For those using ConfigMgr and Modern Driver Management, you already have it, but this one did not exist in MDT Lite Touch. So it's basically a little script that you can add to your sequence so that if there is no match on the model level, say you're deploying a new model that you forgot to add in, it will fall back to this one. And to this one here, I simply added a bunch of generic network and storage and video drivers that I knew was quite common because I figured it was better that I got the machine up and running with something than just basically having it break. Because drivers can always be updated later down the road, but it's hard if you cannot see the screen correctly or if you don't have network and storage. It kind of complicates deployment quite a bit. So yeah, fun stuff there for sure.
Nice little addition.
That was a fun little project. I mean, we had it in our PSD, our cloud imaging version since beginning. I didn't think of it to add it to the normal Light Touch until I did. So that was some cool stuff. All right, another question coming in on LinkedIn. Do you have a script to uninstall Teams from a collection of machines? I do not. That's something you have stumbled across, Andrew?
Nothing off the top of my head. Let me see if I can find something.
The only thing I have seen is to get rid of that not so bright home edition of Teams that is included in Windows 11.
Yeah.
Adam blogged about that. See if I can find it. It was either him or Gary. Talked about that in the office hours before. It was Adam. All right. So it was this one. And apparently he came up with a solution to do this somehow. So maybe that. I guess this is the danger when you allow marketing department to control features in Windows. Don't get me started about the consumer experience apps and all the other not so great apps that are being added by default, even for enterprise builds, unless you actively block it or remove it. I don't like it. I don't think they belong there, but apparently a marketing department thought so.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm an Xbox fan, but do you need that on 500 lab machines? I'm not so sure.
Not so sure. All right, there is a question coming in on YouTube here. Anyone have a script that would apply OS to an NVMe drive instead of a SATA SSD? We have an unreleased version of PSD for MDT, the PowerShell deployment kit, where we put in a disk priority variable. And there you can specify what type of bus you want to use. I wonder if I have that available somewhere here. Let me take a look. I was playing around with this somewhat recently. I wonder if this one have it. No, that one did not have it. Give me a second to locate it somewhere else. It wasn't too complicated to put in. Here we go. I knew I had it somewhere. So basically used a query for bus type matching NVMe, and we use that to set the variable for the disk index to use. So that's, for example, if you have an NVMe drive and a SATA SSD drive in the system, you prioritize and use the NVMe if it exists. So for the gentleman that asked the question, drop an email. I can send you a preview version of the script that you may be able to borrow some code from. It will be available, of course, when we release the next version, but that's still a few weeks out. So if you don't want to wait for that, by all means, drop an email. I'll be happy to share it. In this case, we also added in a specific size of it because we found that sometimes you have like a special small utility drive in systems, like a 32 gig flash drive that is used for like recovery, something like that. That we typically don't want to try to put Windows on that one. Another trick in regards to putting Windows on the right volume is to make sure that the volume you want is the smallest volume, because the sequence is actually picking the module with most free disk space when it tries to figure out things or where to store things. So you can create a text file or just a file that is just very, very large on a disk that you don't want to use, and then it will pick the other one. But this is, of course, a more elegant solution where you're actually telling it, okay, for this partitioning, I would like to use this disk. Thank you. So hopefully that will help a little bit. If anyone else has stumbled across something, by all means, let me know, and I'll be happy to share the information here. Something I found extremely useful in general is the relatively new search on GitHub. You need to be logged in. We have talked about this many times, but you can put in a query like this one here, and you can say language PowerShell, and if there are any matches, it will show you the matches. And this is also useful to get inspiration about certain things. So apparently we're not the first one that is trying to figure out if a hard drive is something. So just an idea. I often find more stuff here than I find on Bing or Google.
Yeah, I'm so happy you showed me this. This is super helpful.
Maybe just do this one for the fun of it. Oh yeah, 100+ files that are dealing with some sort of NVMe something. You can find some amazingly good information this way. All right. Any other questions? Great questions. And you have a whooping 22 minutes to spare.
Hey, wasn't there an update to one of your favorite pieces of software today?
Ah, ZoomIt. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, do you have the link?
I will in just 1 second.
It must be your system internals, right?
Yeah.
Ah,
Let's see.
ZoomIt. Oh yeah. There it is. Fresh. Well, it's a day old, but I still consider it fresh. Wasn't there screen recording built in?
Yep.
That is awesome. Good stuff. Ha! This is perfect.
Yeah, just a quick tool to be able to do that is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, I'm saving that link as well. Don't mind if I do. The cool thing about ZoomIt is that it actually works in WinP as well. You use that to take screenshots when you do deployments and whatnot, which otherwise can be a little bit tricky, especially on physical computers, unless you have a screen grabber or taking up your phone and take a picture with it. Yep. That also works. All right. Good stuff there, Andrew.
Yeah, that's had a few really nice improvements this year. Pen and touch drawing, anti-aliasing. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, ZoomIt is even breathe for. It's good stuff. Sure. All right. Any other questions you guys might have? Even dressed up for the day?
Love it.
Yeah. My old school MCP shirt that I got back in the days. So you can tell it's old because it's it fits more tightly now. For whatever reason.
Yeah, these remains a mystery.
Yeah. I blame the good food. I blame good food.
Yes, that will do it.
All right. If you guys have any more questions, this is the how is it saying in Caribbean pirates? The opportune moment. That's the wording.
Yes.
Captain Sparrow is telling. What's his name? Orlando Bloom's character.
Gosh, it's funny. I saw that so many times when it came out.
William Bootstrap.
Turner.
Turner. Yes. Basically, if you're looking for that moment, you just missed it.
It's a good line.
Yeah, it's a good line. It's one of my favorite movies always.
Yeah.
I watched it probably 10 times, if not more.
That's a good one.
Yes. Maybe we should do that this weekend. Yeah. Let's see. We have a question coming here on YouTube. I noticed with the latest June update for Windows 11, it doesn't show the customized autopilot during out-of-box experience. Have you run into that issue? I have not. But it wouldn't be the first time a patch kind of changed something it shouldn't. But I have not tried that build with an enrollment status page. If anyone else has stumbled across it, by all means, please let me know. But I haven't tested that version yet in any environment. And this was a follow-up comment there. This was also from a fresh media out of the VS volume license site. But you can certainly try it out. It will take more than a few minutes. Apparently, it's working on regular Windows 10, same version, but not Windows 11. So it might be that the bug has been sneaked in, etc. The good thing about the autopilot components, though, these days is that they can be updated independently of the monthly CUs in Windows. And that started back in Windows 10 1903. So if there is an issue, they have the chance of fixing it backend and apply those changes during the autopilot process. So sometimes you will actually see that it's downloading updates in the autopilot process, but these are not Windows updates per se, regular Windows updates. These are updates for autopilot itself. So, but yeah, that's something to do for the weekend as well, I guess. Test a new build. For those of you interested in testing, we have been, throughout our various courses here, we have been collecting pretty good autopilot scripting section. For example, a bunch of PowerShell script that very, very quickly spins up virtual machines for testing. You can usually get it done in about 10-15 minutes. So if you haven't seen those, we're happy to share that link with you. Put that in the link section.
So helpful in getting something just up and registered into autopilot, just so you can test these different things. It takes off a lot of time.
Yep, sure does. All right. There's another question coming in on YouTube. Has anyone seen ConfigMgr where a deployment runs before the date that is configured to actually run it? I have not. I've seen it start download, so that's an expected behavior, but it should not start. If you had a deadline on a specific day, it should not start before that day. I have not stumbled across it happened actually before that. Sometimes you flipping the UTC checkbox, of course, would change a little bit behavior because depending on where you are in the world, it jumps a few hours back and forth, but it shouldn't be more than that. If you see deployments start earlier than they should, that's basically when you file a bug or upgrade if you're not on the latest version of ConfigMgr. There have been, as we mentioned earlier today, some critical hotfixes lately for 22.03, but there are also for the earlier versions of ConfigMgr has been hotfixes released quite frequently this year to address certain issues. So I have not. If there's something you have seen, Andrew?
No, you already mentioned what my first thought would have been is checking if you were UTC or local time. But I've never seen anything install before a scheduled time.
Yeah.
But I've definitely made that mistake where I was expecting local time and it was UTC or the opposite.
Yeah, fun stuff always.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions? All right. I don't see any more questions coming in, so I guess we're giving you a few minutes back to your day, those of you that are watching, and we will hope to see you again next Wednesday. Andrew, as usual, thank you so much for joining, and have a great rest of the week.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.